All right, here we go. TK Kirkland, welcome back to VladTV.
Yo, what's up, Vlad the Great? And Happy New Year to you, my man.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Just got to see you perform in LA just recently. You tore it down like always.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And to all the fans that all might think they don't know, tell them, Vlad, they got to come see me perform. It's a different story.
Oh, yeah, man. The crowd control that TK Kirkland does is unbelievable. Like, no one does nothing. When you get on that stage, people are just alert, ready. They don't go to the bathroom. They don't talk to their friends. They don't check their phone.
Yes.
It's all about TK Kirkland for
That's
that hour
right.
or so that you tear it down.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well, before we talk about anything else, the Super Bowl is about to happen.
Yes.
And the halftime show kind of hits close to home with you.
Yes. Yes, with NWA, Dr. Dre, Snoop. I mean, for that to happen in LA, I think the world is waiting to see what's going to happen, right? Because you don't know they're going to pay a tribute to Eazy-E. You don't know that he's going to bring out Ice Cube and the whole NWA clan at the very beginning. So it's just really an anticipation that's phenomenal.
I mean, how is it to see these poor kids from Compton who came from nothing?
Yes.
Who really, it could have gone either way. People say oh, Dre's so talented, he would have blown up. Nah, you never know in the entertainment industry. It's all about timing and luck and skill. So to see these kids come from absolutely nothing, the bottom of the bottom, to do, to a lot of them becoming multi-millionaires and doing the biggest show. I mean, that's pretty much the biggest stage in the world, right?
In the world, absolutely.
The Super Bowl halftime show, it doesn't really get much bigger than that.
I totally agree. And what statistics have shown that every artist has ever performed on the halftime entertainment with the Super Bowl star rose, as far as record sales, anything that he was doing went to a whole nother level.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it's the biggest show in the world.
Yeah, Dr. Dre. I mean, who would ever thought? I remember being on tour with them on the bus. I remember Dr. Dre had a 190 Mercedes-Benz. Ice Cube had a Suzuki Jeep. I remember all the stuff that they had. And to see what that's done, and for me to be a part of something that I never knew was going to be this big. For Eazy-E, who truly loved me as a comedian, right? To say, come to see me perform, him, Dr. Dre, and Ice Cube, and say, yo, your act is so amazing. We wanted you to be our opening act on Straight Outta Compton. You understand? A lot of people don't understand what that means. There's a lot of stand-up comedians who cannot open for a rap group, especially NWA. It's impossible. So I need people to really understand what that means.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I mean, the halftime show is Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, and, they may bring other people as well.
And Mary J. Blige.
Mary J. Blige. Sorry,
yes.
Forgot about her. About her. The time that you spent with NWA in the beginning, was Dr. Dre always really about his business and always destined for greatness? Or back then, was he still kind of wild and, could have gone either way?
He was about, I'm going to tell you a story. When we were on tour, I used to have Dr. Dre jogging with me in the morning. We would jog. When he got back to LA, the studio was in Torrance, California. When I would call Dre, maybe, because I always get up early, maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, this was his answering service. You ready? You have to get up pretty early in the morning to catch me. He was already in the studio. He was already there at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. He was already there. So he actually put the work and the effort in. You see these memes sometimes, they say, don't be upset if you didn't put in the work to get the results that you wanted. Well, Dr. Dre put in the work.
There we have it. There you have it. And speaking about football, what some say is the greatest football player of all time, Tom Brady, has officially announced that he's retiring.
And to watch his journey for 22 years, really, just to flip the script, really put a perspective on my career, right? Because what people don't understand, I've been doing this 37 years. Not 20, 37. And being consistent. 37 years to have met. I could have retired years ago and never met you, Vlad. You understand? So to see Tom Brady go from each decade to do what he's done. And here's the thing. If Antonio Brown wouldn't have had a meltdown, because they only lost by 3 points, they would have won. If Antonio Brown would have played, they would have been, Tampa Bay would have been going back to the Super Bowl.
Leading up to that walkout, I don't know if you heard, but he had a whole bunch of like bonuses in like as part of his contract, and he had to do certain things in order to get the bonuses, which he hadn't done yet. So they got, him and his agent were trying to like argue with the Bucks, like, give him the bonuses without actually doing the things to get the bonus. And they weren't really like budging on that. And that led up to him having a temper tantrum and walking out the field.
Oh, so that's what it was.
That was part of it.
Because I saw
that was part of it.
I saw part of the interview. I saw it when I read an article, how he was close to getting the bonuses.
He was.
He was close. Like one more game, he would have probably had it. He left a lot of money on the table. Let me tell you what I learned in that situation for people listening. Remember as we was growing up, they said, never make a decision when you're emotional. Right? You've heard that growing up. You never want to make important decisions when you're emotional. Am I right?
100%.
The coach, to me, shouldn't have cut Antonio Brown. He made a bad decision in a heated moment. The coach should have said, we're not going to discuss this issue right now. We still have more football to play. And then after they would have won the Super Bowl, I would have cut him going into the following season. And the reason why, when I ran track in high school, I didn't go to practice one day. My coach, Mr. Wilbur Jones, and I went to the game to be with the girls. And somehow when that game was over, the crowd parted like Moses had opened up the Red Sea. And there go Mr. Jones standing right there. And Mr. Jones said to me, Kirkland, I'm going to get you. Didn't understand. I'm 14 years old. A couple months later, I make the traveling squad to travel out of town. He walks up to me and says, Kirkland, you're not going. He taught me a lesson. My point with the coach should have been, we are here. Our feelings are not involved. We're here to win a Super Bowl. Now, once I win the Super Bowl, once I get what I want out you, then I'm going to let you go. But I'm not going to put my emotions in front of us winning the title, because the purpose of you here is to win the Super Bowl. I felt like when I saw it, I said, wow, you should have just held on to him and got him later. But because he took the pads off on the field, it was really disrespectful for him to do that.
Oh, yeah.
So he got caught up in emotion.
Yeah, I mean, he made a spectacle of himself on national television.
Sure did.
On the NFL. And the thing about the NFL, which you got to realize, is that the NFL don't give a shit about any single player, period.
They don't.
I don't care if you're Tom. They don't give a shit about Tom Brady.
They sure don't.
Because it's bigger than that.
It's bigger than that.
It's bigger.
And you know
than
how
that.
it's bigger than that? The contracts that these owners have, it's in the billions.
Yeah.
And these young boys, they get peanuts compared to what these guys are. Talking about peanuts. I know guys that are on that side. They tell me. I'm like, wow, it's great. Even when you have the thing, what's the stuff, CTE? Do you know when they go for insurance to get that money to take care of them, that is racism in that as well? And what they showed, I saw a document on HBO that they compared the blacks to the whites. If your results does not come back favor to how white football players went, you don't get the money or compensation that they receive. It's a big issue between the Players Association and the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, really, I feel like in the far future, we're talking about maybe 100, 200 years past our lifetime, I don't think, based on the amount of damage to the human body that football does, I don't think that football will be a sport at some point. At some point, they're just going to say, medically, this is just a bad idea for human beings. The amount of people that end up being crippled,
Yes.
Permanently messed up, CTE, brain damage, and so forth, is just not worth it. There's going to be so many lawsuits at some point. There's just going to be like, all right, they're just going to basically sue the NFL out of business at some point.
And I totally believe
unless they change the rules completely.
Yes, and I totally believe there's something wrong with Antonio Brown. He may say there's nothing wrong with him, but there's something wrong with Antonio Brown. And I really wish that he doesn't see it because it's him.
Yeah.
But it shows that something's wrong because his decision making, the things that he does, it's just obvious because his whole career, he wasn't like this. I can see he was like this from the very beginning, but this changed as the years went on. So there's something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of years ago, that's when things started to kind of go crazy. Maybe about a year ago, he called that one coach a cracker, and then like he got into it. There was all this nonsense with this girl and the police and all this crazy shit.
Scary things that leads to death.
Yeah.
The way that was moving, everybody thought this man was about to die or something bad was about to happen to him. And Antonio Brown, we're the kind of people, and I know your people down in Miami, because I go to Florida all the time. I know a whole crew down there. We're not talking bad about you. Like, my thing is a topic, you're trending, and brother, we would like for you to get help so that you won't be a statistic. So me and Vlad won't be on this show one day saying, we told each other, we talked about it, didn't we, Vlad? So please do the right thing, bro. Please do the right thing.
There you have it. Whoopi Goldberg was on The View recently. By the way, do you know Whoopi at all?
I met her a couple times, but I don't know her.
Okay. So she was on The View, and she said that the Holocaust was not based on race, but about man's inhumanity to man. And she said, this is white people doing it to white people. So y'all gonna fight amongst yourselves. And then that caused the whole uproar and so forth.
Yes.
I guess she went on Stephen Colbert and tried to explain it some more, which I think initially ended up doubling down on her original point, which she then tried to apologize again. And then ultimately she got suspended for 2 weeks.
Yes.
What's actually interesting, though, about this whole situation, which I don't think anyone's really talking about, is that Whoopi Goldberg claimed that she's Jewish.
It's true. I remember that years ago.
Right, because that's not her real name.
Right.
Her real name is Karen Elaine Johnson.
It's hilarious.
That's her real name, because I'm like, Goldberg is a Jewish name. Like, okay, hold on a second. So I actually looked into it. There's, I found some documents and so forth about her talking about it. And she said, my mother did not name me Whoopi, but Goldberg is my name. It's part of my family. It's part of my heritage, just like being black. I just know I'm Jewish. I practice nothing. I don't go to temple, but I do remember, remember the holidays. And she said, people are like, oh, come on, are you Jewish? She would ask, would you ask me that if I was white? I bet not. But once people started researching it, Henry Louis Gates Jr. actually found all her ancestors and so forth, and none of them were actually Jewish. They were all African American.
Wow.
And when she did this DNA test, there was no Jewish DNA or whatever. So I'm almost thinking that she did this because, there's a lot of Jewish executives and so forth. So maybe she tried to position herself.
Well, it goes to show you,
get
right?
more
Names,
roles, or
names do make a difference, right? I mean, look at Jamie Foxx, right? Look at Vin Diesel. These guys, this is not their names. So it's an alter ego on their part that actually worked for them. Because when you look at Whoopi Goldberg, I think if she was Karen, she would not be famous. You would be saying Karen all the time, right? But you'll say Whoopi Goldberg, it just fits. So great, good for her. Great strategy for her, if that's what she tried to pull off, because it worked.
Apparently so. I mean, she's now a multimillionaire and Grammy winner, Emmy winner, Academy Award winner, Tony winner. She actually has the whole. And
I don't think she would have won all those as Karen.
As Karen Johnson, Karen Elaine Johnson.
Yeah, Karen. No, it wouldn't happen.
I mean, listen, I'm Jewish myself.
Yeah.
And, when I heard it, I wasn't really offended by it. I'm like, okay, like, being Jewish is sort of like this sort of gray area kind of thing. Because is it race, or is it ethnicity, or is it religion, or what is it? It kind of goes into multiple pots. But I mean, clearly the Nazis targeted Jews and killed like 6 million of them. So it's a very touchy subject.
It's a very touchy subject, but it's something that if you pull it up, something me and you talked about years ago. And I said this to you. I said, Vlad, one thing, whether you're in the streets or on national TV, you don't talk about politics and religion. It's the number one rule that everybody should live by because it can cost you. Yeah. It can cost you because you're never going to get people to agree.
There you go. Well, look, she's suspended for 2 weeks. We'll see what happens.
And we'll see what happens because I got a feeling they're going to try to find a way to let her go.
You think? You think? Maybe. Well, listen, she is 66 years old. She's worth tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes.
She's won every award you could win. What she said wasn't that big of a deal, so it's not.
But
like
it never is. But they get you on the small stuff. They always get you on the small stuff.
They get you on the small stuff.
Yes, sir. They always get you on the small stuff. Where was you when I was doing this? When it was serious? Like people who go to get years of time in jail for stealing the pizza, slice of pizza, or a candy bar.
Yep.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. You gotta watch your back all the way to the end, I guess.
All the way to the end.
Yeah, because I guess Bill Cosby, they're trying to put him back in jail again.
Man, they really after him. Like he's really on their radar. And I hope the stress doesn't kill him because regardless of what's going on, he has to be stressed out.
Oh, yeah.
Has to be stressed out.
I mean, listen, Bill, if you're listening to this, take your rich ass to a country that has no extradition policy with the U.S., buy the biggest fucking house you can afford, all right? Get a compound, all right? Just get a compound somewhere in like Venezuela or, I don't know, Saudi Arabia or someplace outside the U.S. You have the money. Remember Michael Jackson used to move around. Remember Michael Jackson was kind of paranoid? He was in Saudi Arabia. He was in Dubai. He was, he was like, nah, U.S. ain't going to catch me up.
Right.
So, listen, take all your money. I mean, look at Russell Simmons. He pretty much did that. He moved out of the country. Right. He sold his houses. He sold his Basquiat's and his Warhols and everything else like that. Took all his money, went to another country and said, y'all ain't getting me hemmed up.
That's so true.
Bill, listen, I know you're stressing out right now, right? Because they're still after you. Me personally, listen, it got reversed. The Supreme Court turned it around. You're back home. If you want to stay out of prison, just go to another country and live out the rest of the years. They probably have his
passport. Maybe they didn't get. Well, they had to get his passport back because it was overturned.
It was over. They're trying to charge him again. Until the point they actually charge him, he's a free man, just like you and I.
Yeah, I would get out of here.
I would get the fuck out of here. Go to a nice island.
At his age, look at Paterno, the coach of Penn State. He lived so long until that scandal happened, and less than 6 months died because of the stress.
There you go. Bill, just break out. People are talking bad about you anyways. It ain't like they're going to talk any worse about you.
I will be gone.
Right, because there's that new documentary right now on Showtime. Well, that's usually what gets you is the documentaries.
That's what gets you back on the radar. And when I saw that young man, let's have a discussion about Cosby, I'm in my kitchen. I said, well, leave that man alone. All the shit they could have done in America, you want to pick on this man because all it's going to do is, like you said, put him back on the radar for them to go get him.
There you have it. Rihanna is pregnant by A$AP Rocky. Baby number 1. For both of them, actually.
Right.
I remember 6 months ago, Boosie actually predicted that this would happen.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, he said A$AP Rocky need to put a baby in Rihanna ASAP.
Yeah, if you got a chance, if you hitting her raw, you gotta yeah, you got a raw dog her. You know what I'm saying? If you're in love, I don't see why they should be wearing protection if they're in love like that. You know that I definitely would be raw dogging them.
I think that's nice. They make a nice, good couple. It's a win for him. It's a win for her. He seems like a real nice guy. And what was interesting is how Drake unfollowed him and her. And I said, wow, you know, I mean, he really had feelings for her. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, she's a billionaire. That don't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, that's phenomenal, isn't it? That's phenomenal. Yeah. Now, how old is Rihanna?
Let's look it up.
Okay.
Rihanna age. She is 33 years old.
Wow.
A$AP Rocky is 33 years old.
Okay.
Same age.
Perfect age. Nice. I have nothing against none of them. I think they're beautiful people. I don't think I've heard any of A$AP Rocky's music. Is he? What kind of music does he do?
He does hip hop, but like, yeah, I mean, he's always done hip hop. I mean, at one point it was sort of like Houston. I mean, he's from Harlem, but at one point it was sort of Houston influence. But I mean, he's really come into his own, and he's, you know, one of the top hip hop artists out there. You know, he's top 20, let's say.
Now, is he independent or major label?
No, he's not a major label, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been on a major label. I think he still is.
Because I've known him for like a couple movies he's done. I've known him for clothing lines and modeling for things like that. But I don't think I've ever heard his music. I think when I get on the plane in a couple of days, I'll listen to it while I'm on my flight.
Yeah, he's dope. He's dope. I like him. And, you know, he's had, you know, big albums, big songs. Like, you know, he's in the fashion world and everything else like that. The one thing, though, you know, and I know people are going to get at me on this, but when you look at someone on the caliber of a Rihanna, right? One of the world's most desirable women across the board, huge selling, you know, musical star who started a business that made even more money.
Yes.
Right? Beautiful, you know, attractive, intelligent, and so forth. Why not get married before having that baby? Why not? Why not as someone of that stature? I can imagine if it's like, okay, some girl just feels lucky that she's messing with A$AP Rocky and she don't want to, you know, rock the boat and, you know, push him too hard or whatever. But it's like, yo, this is Rihanna, right? Like no shortage of men that would marry this woman from all across the world. You find a guy that you actually like. Why not get married first and then have the baby and actually form, you know, have a traditional family unit where both of you are actually, you know, really in the same house, raising the kids under one roof and so forth. You know, if you want him to sign a prenup because you have more money than him, whatever, I'm sure he'll probably sign. He got his own money. He's not really tripping off Rihanna's money like that. But at the end of the day, why not get married and do it traditionally when you're in that, you know, level of a Rihanna?
15 years ago, I'd have said something totally different. I was like, Vlad, you know, Goldie Hawn had kids and they were never married. But when I see the world today and I see the influence of influencers have, what you're saying as an adult makes so much sense because it would impact other women and men to do the same thing. And when you're on that level, you do have a responsibility of leading people the right way, right? It's just really important. Now, most people just probably go over their head or it might be beneath them, but I understand what you're saying. Like I said, 15 years ago, I was like, oh, no, Vlad, nah. But when I see the chaos in the world, so many different things, and one of them is a man not being in the home with the father. I'm not saying that he's not going to be there, but marriage symbolizes strength and unity to other people around the world the same exact way. Because I guarantee you, you're not the only person that said that.
Right. Because look at other people of that caliber.
Yes.
Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Yes.
Married. Yeah. And then they had all their kids. Swizz Beatz and Alicia Keys. Married. Then they had all their kids. Kanye and Kim Kardashian. Granted, they're not doing too well right now, but before they had kids, either one of them, they got married first, and then they had like 4 kids together.
Right.
These are all peers with a Rihanna.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like Rihanna is technically going to be a baby mother unless she gets married before, she has the baby.
And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to hear what Vlad is saying. He respects Rihanna so much. You don't want her to be called a baby mama.
Right.
I totally respect that. You don't, not Rihanna, not the billionaire who's done all this stuff. You should not have the title of a baby mama.
Exactly.
I respect that. I respect that.
And at this point, that's what she has. And this is not a knock at Rihanna. This is not a knock at A$AP Rocky.
Yes.
I'm just saying, like act your wage. You guys are at a very high level. And if you guys have decided to have babies with each other, like this is a very big commitment. And this is really setting up for multi-generational wealth and so forth. Like,
it's a big responsibility. I totally agree. I totally agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and I haven't really heard anyone saying that. Like really, it was like everyone's, congratulations, woo, Rihanna, finally.
Right, yep. And because it's such a norm, but when you break it down, because it's Rihanna, look, bitch, you're Rihanna. You should not be called baby mama. And it's good that you see her that way. And maybe to everybody else, they might just see her as a normal person. But I think people really will respect what you're saying. Like, yo, Vlad really got a point there. That's Rihanna. She should be called. Maybe somebody on 147 living in the apartment building 9F. You know what I'm saying? That's way in the back that is dating the sandwich guy down the street. Maybe. But all women and good guys, hopefully it can lead, because them being married, it could have done wonders for so many young people.
Yeah, that's my point.
A guy would have said, you know what, I'm going to marry my girl. But here's the great thing. Somebody's going to hear this interview and say, I don't want my girl to be a baby mama.
Yep.
I guarantee you. A guy's going to say, you know what, I'm going to marry my girl because I don't want her to be a baby mama. But at the same time, don't let, because we said this, if your woman ain't shit and she crazy, don't marry her. Don't do this because me and Vlad talking about it and say, yo, I want to marry, and that bitch crazy. Let it go.
Let it go. Well, since last time, speaking of Kanye, he's now dating the actress Julia Fox.
Yes, who used to date Drake.
Right. And actually, what's funny, right? What's funny about this, because this news just broke today, is that you see Kanye all with her. And you know something? Like, you really got to hand it to Kanye. He's the only person that would do this. Their first date, the Kanye and Julia Fox first date was accompanied by a magazine photo shoot and an interview. Like, who does this? Who does this on a first date?
But do you see the hidden gem in there?
Oh, yeah?
He's trying to cause jealousy to Kim.
Yeah, there you go.
Because Kanye is going about this as an adolescent, a child. He's trying to do things to make Kim jealous, but Kim don't care. Kim, she started fucking already, new dick in her life. She's not prancing off with her man and showing him off every place that she goes. You might see him every now and then, but in actuality, to me, and here's my thing, I think Kim should have gave her pussy a rest. I think she should have took a break for a minute, because that's another person who shows examples in the world. Them girls in Hollywood don't rest their vaginas. They break up with you on Monday, they are dating Thursday afternoon, the new guy. Even Jennifer Lopez, right? Jennifer Lopez broke up with my man and was dating Ben Affleck less than 9 hours. And talk about how they rekindle, but they don't see the impact on how that does to the society as well. Because it shows to me, it's like, damn, bitch, you can't be alone? Like, you can't be by your motherfucking self. You can just have them come over and have some cup of coffee and wake up with you in the morning. Y'all gonna move in. What about all that shit your boy bought you? She's wearing some of that shit around Ben.
Oh, yeah, she's wearing,
And what's crazy?
She wearing A-Rod shit, right?
Right. And she's wearing some of the shit from when she been the last time with him.
Well, shit. Kim Kardashian is going on dates with Pete Davidson wearing Yeezys.
Exactly. Man.
Right. And if you really think about it, right? If you want to talk about having the crazy ex that just will not leave you alone, Kanye went and bought a house across the street from Kim. Bought a house across the street. And then he allegedly spread a rumor that Pete Davidson has AIDS.
Right. And he bought the new tape of the new sex tape from AJ.
Ray J. All
child behavior from a man. That was in. See, some men, when they lose their girl, this is how they act. When you could have just did the right thing when you was there. Now somebody else chose your queen. Now you see somebody else rocking with her and you can't handle it. Even to the point getting on camera, talk about they won't give me the address to where my children's birthday party is. I really think I should be a part of that and blah, blah, blah. But here's the gangster part. If that really happened, let her give her birthday party and I'm going to throw a party for my daughter as well. Baby, you do what you do. Have fun. And when I get my baby, I'm going to throw my party and we all cool. I don't have to show up.
Yeah, and you mentioned the whole Drake thing because the story goes that Drake had messed around with Julia Fox and he gave her a couple of Birkin bags as like a little token, right? Okay. And then just recently, and I know this is related. Just recently, I think like yesterday, Julia Fox had a birthday party. That Kanye, showed up in. Yes. And he gave her and her girlfriends a bunch of little Birkin bags.
I saw that. Again, child. You see what I'm saying about a child? Yeah. That's how a 9-year-old acts. That's a 9-year-old. I even hate talking about Kanye so much because he's really beneath my intelligent level that is so irritating because this person is really leading the Black community because his name and because, see, we live in a society, we respect the person that has the most money without understanding their character. He's not a person you really should be following. He's not a person that really should lead. Yeah, he was dope years ago when he's putting out phenomenal music, but he's not moving like a G. See, that's the thing about what I see with these guys. I want to see men, like men. We don't have nobody that's being men showing leadership, dressing a certain way, teaching the young kids how to act. You can't be a minister one day, this kind of person the next day. It's too confusing, and that's why that's what makes me feel the way that I feel about Kanye. He's too confusing to me. And he's messing up a lot of young men in society the way he moves.
Right. And one more thing before we get off this topic, this goes for both men and women. Think about who you're having children with before you start having sexual relations with that person.
Yes.
Okay. And if you do not plan on getting this person pregnant, if you think the worst thing in the world is to have a baby with this person, either don't have sex with them or use birth control, condoms, whatever, every single time. Because Kim knew what she was getting into with Kanye. He was already bipolar. He already had a bunch of crazy episodes and everything else like that. You go and have 4 kids with him. Now you're stuck with this man forever. So now when he's buying houses across the street from you and saying that your boyfriend got AIDS and, doing show, prancing, talking about you in every interview and everything else like that, like, there should be no surprise here. You walked into this. You wanted this. It was the fame, the money, whatever, like all of that.
You got caught up in the hype.
You're not going to pay for all that for the next, really until you die. Because those are always going to be y'all's kids.
Yep, absolutely. And to everybody who's listening, make sure you remember, sex makes babies, not love.
Yep. Yes, sir.
That's right.
Well, since our last interview, a couple murders have occurred, one of which was Young Dolph. The at first it was unsolved, but there was like photos and something, you know, that were there. And then I started getting a lot of DMs about who did it, you know, who allegedly did it and so forth. And sure enough, the guys who they said did it got arrested.
Okay.
And recently, these guys showed up to court and they did not have a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same, like one of the dudes I remember is on Instagram in a Benz, jewelry, bunch of designer shit and all that. You flossing on the gram that hard. And then when it all falls apart, you don't even have lawyer money.
Isn't that something? And I saw that when they came into court. I paid attention. So I'm gonna give you a couple feelings I had on that, right? I really felt sorry. My love goes out to Dolph and his family, especially his daughters, for one, because I know how hard it is to have somebody taken away from you. But to see them young boys in that courtroom, because you don't really know how young they are until they're standing around men, right? And you saw the cops, the sheriffs, all grown men stand behind them. And it made me realize that these are really kids. This is a child that you allow your mind, again, and me and you've been talking about it for years again, Vlad, control your emotions, whether it's jealousy, envy, or whatever you're going through. You didn't have to shoot this man and kill him just to floss for a couple of weeks in a car, money, and whatever. Just for a couple of weeks. Then you're going to turn yourself in. You do a video the day you're supposed to turn yourself in. And the feds wind up picking you up because trust me, when you did that video, they damn sure did screenshots to see what area that man is in, location, and I guarantee that's one of the reasons how they found him. But like from Nipsey into any young life that's taken for no reason, guys, you gotta just stop. It hurts me that every time I listen to Vlad or read somewhere, another rapper, maybe who I've never even heard of before, right, is deceased.
Yeah, I mean, last year, I interviewed 2 people who died violently.
Wow.
In their early 30s.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, Slim 400 and Draco the Ruler.
And to ask a question, how do you feel, Vlad? Like, you know, God forbid something happened to me, please, Lord. But how do you feel when you know you just did the interview with that person and wake up and you see your riders posted something that somebody passed? Like, that has to have, mentally, that has to have an effect on you.
Well, I mean, if you go back and listen to a lot of these interviews, I really try to influence the person I interview, especially when I see that there's sort of a kind of a wild streak or a violent streak or whatever else. Because, you know, Slim 400, I interviewed him right after he got shot.
Okay.
Draco the Ruler, I interviewed him right after he got out of prison, after he pleaded to a murder charge, like a manslaughter charge, whatever, that they ended up, you know, essentially giving him time served for. And it's like the interviews are like, hey man, listen, why don't you just move away? This isn't worth it out here. You know, you may not be uber rich, but you could set up shop in a place where all these old beefs, these old enemies, people who hated you since junior high and, you know, and so forth, like, they're not even around. Like, you're in a totally different place. Like, if Draco had moved to Atlanta or New York, he wouldn't have gotten killed in the way he did, but he was actually performing in LA and he put out a song called Ingleweird, which he kind of dissed the whole city of Inglewood.
Whoa,
and
did he really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he was one of these kind of beef type rappers. And, you know, I remember I had this long conversation with his manager, who's also named TK Barron.
Okay.
Is his name, you know, who brought me to, who brought him, to do the interview and everything. And we were just talking about this whole thing. And he was like, he had pointed out that this is the first time ever that a hip hop artist was killed backstage at his own show.
Wow.
It's never happened. And I think you could really almost say this probably is the first time of any artist who got killed backstage at their own show. I don't know of any genre.
That.
Yeah, like it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Listen, people get killed leaving the show, people get killed going to the show, people get killed, like in their own neighborhoods, whatever. In the studio, you hear of shootings, but never backstage at a show that an artist is set to perform at does something break out and the person ends up getting stabbed to death, which is basically what happened to Draco. He got stabbed in the neck. You just don't hear this. And it really just makes you think like, damn, like, it's like almost there's no safe places in this genre. Like if you choose to do hip hop, like, listen, when I came to your show, I had armed security with me.
Right.
I'm not fucking around. I don't know who's in that audience.
That's right.
I don't know if there's someone who hates me or likes TK Kirkland on VladTV but hates Vlad. Like, so I'm like, me and my armed security sat there and laughed and enjoyed the show, and
they
went back
blended
to our
in
car.
good because you couldn't tell.
That's right.
I love that.
That's right. That's right. But I'm saying, like, damn, like it's so sad that these young men who have their whole life ahead of them. People try to, diss old people and, oh, you old and you whatever, but being old is a gift.
Yes.
Getting to your age, which I haven't gotten to yet, like I aspire to that.
Yes.
I look forward to it. And I remember just recently, we did this interview, Sean Prez did it for us, with Howard Hewitt.
Okay.
The R&B singer from Shalimar, right?
Yes,
the lead singer of Shalimar. So in the interview, he talked about how Jody Watley left the group.
Right.
Right? They got into some big argument, and according to her, he screamed and said, "You'll never be shit without Shalimar."
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I read that.
And she went on to have a great solo career, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Howard was talking about this whole situation. He goes, "Oh, well, I don't know why she's tripping, because all she could say was, 'Look, motherfucker, look what I did.'" But so forth.
Jeffrey and Jody were coming there to tell me about myself, and I wouldn't want to really hear about it. You know what I'm saying? So we got into this big argument. And he said that when you were arguing in the midst of the argument, he said she said that you told her she would never be shit without Shalimar. And so I started kind of laughing. I said, well, I'm not, I can't remember whether I said that or not, and I said, but even for the sake of this argument, if I did say that, if we were in the midst of an argument and I said you would never be shit without Shalimar, I said, isn't success the best revenge? You know what I'm saying?
Because she blew.
Because she blew up.
Her solo career, she blew.
I'm looking for a new love. Blew up. Klein was screaming up the charts. The album was screaming up the charts. Do great.
And after the interview came out, and this is one of the things I'm really proud of, with my platform, is that clip got so big. And listen, this guy is like in his 60s. He's been telling the story for years.
Right.
Everyone knows about it. But after he did VladTV, it got so much attention that he made a video on his own YouTube channel apologizing to Jody Watley and said, "I am so sorry for everything that I said at that moment. I didn't mean it." And he said something, he said, "We have not spoken in 40 years. 40 years is a lifetime to some.
That's
in
right.
fact, some people don't even get to live
So
40
true.
years. It is too long for us to be holding this grudge. I am sorry. I hope you accept my apology." And it's like, and it really got me thinking, like, 40 years, it is a lifetime to some people. I'm 48.
Yeah.
I'm only 8 years past that.
Right.
And it's like, it takes a lot of good decision-making to get to that point.
Thank you. You just took the thoughts right out of my mind. Because I'm in my 60s, thank God. It's like, regardless of how successful you are or how poor, right? You still got to navigate through this life like it's a minefield. Because when you hear the word life, you think this is supposed to be this easy ride. It's not. No matter how rich you are, no matter how poor, you still go through certain things in life. And like I said, you could have your seatbelt on and a rock can fall off the building, bam, and hit you. You could be walking the wrong way, straight bullet hit you. You can get hit by a bus, hit by a car can slide off the road. So to make it, not knowing how that person journey has gotten them there, that's why you always have to, I always say, you have to show older people respect. And what happens in this generation is that the young people will talk back to you. As when we was growing up, it was so much respect for your elder, you wouldn't dare say anything out of turn, or what you wouldn't dare be in what we used to call grown folks conversation. Like the morals of the world has totally changed so bad that people like us now have to fall back and just stay out the way because they're so ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line is the only word to use. They're ignorant.
Yeah,
and it's
but,
sad.
You know, it takes a lot of game, and it takes a lot of intelligence, and it takes a lot of learning from your mistakes to not only get to this age, but to get to this age and be comfortable.
Yes.
You know, lots of fucked up 50-year-olds out there working at Walmart trying to make ends meet.
Right.
To be comfortable and to sit back and say, hey, you know, I've spent a lifetime of grinding, and now I can kind of sit back and, you know, start giving other people platforms and helping other people out and really just chilling and figuring out, you know, looking forward to your retirement and how you're going to do it. That takes a lot. And everyone's always looking at the 20-year-old who had a hit song and blew up, or the guy who, you know, flipped some crypto and suddenly he's a billionaire, and,
right?
You know, and so forth. But that's not realistic. Like, what's realistic is looking at the people in their older age, the 40s, their 50s, their 60s, their 70s, and saying, how did you get here? And what moves did you make? And not, you know, because we all have had trauma. We've all gotten fucked up. We've all fallen.
Right.
You know, a lot of us have gone to jail. You know, a lot of us have had horrible relationships.
Right.
A lot of us have gotten ripped off and stolen. Like, all this shit that young people go through, we've all gone through. But what do we all do to bounce back and get to the point where we are now? That's the questions that a lot of young people should be asking.
That's right. And I don't think they look past 21.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I think they go through life like, oh, I'm not going to live past 21. But I want all the young men and women, you can live a long, happy life. Just pretty much do the right thing and take care of your bodies. You know, because like I said, so many things, but you got to take care of your health. It's mandatory. That's number one. Mandatory.
There you go. There you go. There's a new Janet Jackson documentary out. Have you watched it at all?
I saw a little bit of it.
I saw a little bit of it too.
Yeah.
Everyone's tripping off the Jermaine Dupri thing.
That's not what I'm tripping on. You know, we're gonna get to that, but you know what I was impressed with?
What's that?
She understood why her father did what he did. What he did to them to put them where they was, and how they didn't respect it and appreciate it when they were young, and how she got it. She understood. And that made me feel so good when I heard her say that. I was like, wow, she gets it. Like, he had to do these things. You don't get to be who you are with a dad playing around.
Well, yeah. I mean, it really hit, you know, home to me when, and I don't know if you saw this part or not, and, you know, I'll spoil it for whoever didn't see it.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch it, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, they went back to Gary, Indiana, and they went back to their old house, which was like a 2-bedroom house.
Right.
Like, it looked like it was maybe 2,000 square feet. And, you know, Joe and his wife had 11 children. 11 children. And they go into the room and she was like, oh my God, I forgot how small this is. And he's like, yeah, you and your sisters slept out here on the couch in the living room. And then the 6 brothers slept in a three-story bunk bed, 2 people per bunk. And sometimes people would pee, like, you know, and like, you know, the pee would go down. And it's like, yo, like how did Joe and Catherine pull this off? 11 children, Gary, Indiana. Nobody had high-paying jobs.
Right.
Like they actually, none of these kids end up going to prison. None of these kids ended up drug dealers. None of these kids ended up getting hooked on drugs. Like they all turned out as good kids.
An unbelievable story, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable story. If someone wrote this in a paper in school and said it could be done, most everybody said, "Nah, that can't happen."
Right. 11 children by the same parents.
By the same
it's not like, oh, dad got 5 kids over here,
Right.
and mom had three kids before the
Yeah.
relationship. No. 11 kids, same parents, all of them full
And it
brothers
also
and sisters.
shows you that Joe Jackson pullout game was horrible.
Horrible. He can't pull out of his own driveway. Can't pull out of shit.
Horrible.
Oh, man, listen. Oh, yeah, but Michael Jackson's mom must have had that good. I mean, I'm telling you.
Absolutely. No disrespect to the Jacksons, but
No
we having
disrespect,
fun. You're right. We having fun
she had
over
that-
here.
she had
Now,
that good
what's funny
good.
when you talk about sex, just to get off the subject for a moment, Nancy Reagan.
Okay. Oh, yeah, she's supposed to be like a head doctor.
Exactly. And what's crazy, because I'm in my 60s, I'm not too far from Nancy Reagan. She's on the cover. I worked into my fantasies.
Well, listen, hold on. When that story about Nancy Reagan came out, I had to bring up the fact that one of the prophets from Oakland, Too Short, actually rapped about Nancy Reagan giving him head back in the 80s.
Wow.
He had a line, he said, Nancy Reagan came to my house and gave me a blowjob. She sucked my dick up and down like it was corn on the cob.
Wow.
Too Short said this in the 80s.
Man.
I texted him. I'm like, yo, look at this shit. He's like, he's like laughing. And he's like, you're right.
Shout out to Too Short, boy. Yeah, Nancy Reagan. Who wouldn't? But I told people, I said, no wonder she always had that stare in her eye. Like she had this look, right? She had this look that it was like she could see right through you, like it was weird. But it's because she knew she was good at what she could do. Nancy Reagan, shout out, baby.
There you go. But back to the documentary. Because Janet Jackson ended up, dating Jermaine Dupri.
Yes.
Who cheated on her.
Yes.
Right. He said something very interesting too. He said in the documentary, the thing of it is that once I started dating Janet, all these other women started being really interested in me.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of created this whole effect like, oh, well, what has he got to pull like a Janet Jackson?
Right.
And a man gonna be a man and so forth. And everyone's like, oh, you're so stupid. How can you cheat on Janet Jackson? Oh, that you're an idiot, whatever else. But like, hey, man.
I'd have cheated on Janet Jackson.
Yeah, I probably would have cheated on Janet Jackson.
I'd have cheated on Janet Jackson.
I think I would have too.
Trust me. I'd have cheated on Janet Jackson. But that's, again, the mindset of the world, right? Watch where I'm going. We get caught up in titles, not the person's character. Because here's what I know. When you really like someone, you don't do those things. When you truly are in to the person you feeling, it doesn't cross your mind. So everybody say Janet Jackson, but Janet Jackson probably was horrible sexist. She probably was terrible in bed. Like, we don't know this. Her head game could have been hard. She might snore really bad, right? Like, all these things that leads another man to do, because we know nobody has a secret on why men sleep with other women, right? No, nobody. If anybody had that, you'd be a damn multi-billionaire if you could sell this story. But no one knows. But we all think because it was Janet, you ain't supposed to cheat. But like I tell people, your grandmother got cheated on. Your mother got cheated on. Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, what I realized in my life, and I'm not going to go into any names or whatever else, but all the women that I fantasized about, because they were, doing music or they're models or on TV or whatever else. Once I finally got with those women, it was almost always a disappointment.
Yes, sir.
Almost every single time, because the fantasy and the reality will never really mesh together.
Right. And
It will
do
never
you
mesh
think it was
together.
more the title? Think about it. See,
Right. I think it was me being a groupie is really what it is.
Because think about it, right?
I think that's what it is.
Watch this. Like when girls say, "Oh, my man plays for the NFL," you're not saying his name, right? You're saying what his profession is. When you say, "My husband is an attorney," you're not just saying that's my husband. You're saying what he has accomplished. You're caught up in the title. And that title can mislead you down a path that you don't know what has happened. But we get caught up in titles instead of the character of the person or the substance of the person.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reality and the fantasy will always have a massive disconnect.
Yes.
You know, I'm sure with Kim Kardashian, the fantasy of a Kanye was probably, you know, through the roof. Here's this musical genius. He's got millions of fans. He's got tens of millions of dollars and so forth. But he's also bipolar.
I know she say every day, this motherfucker's a pain in the ass. He's a pain in the ass. He more problematic than a baby mama, a crazy baby mama. That's how he acts. That's how usually the woman acts.
Right. The crazy baby mama does not buy a house across the street from you.
Thank you.
Right. I remember when that news got announced, someone sent me a meme and it was a scene from John Wick, right? where Keanu Reeves, the dudes like shooting each other in the mall.
Right.
And and the caption was Kanye and Pete Davidson taking out the garbage in the morning.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Shooting at each other from across the street.
Man, I don't know. I don't know. When I get to be this age and live my life the way I do, I'm disappointed on so many levels because the people who get famous today, to me, it's like, wow, you have no talent. You don't do this, you don't do that, but you're a mega star. I respect it the way it is. Like I said, I'm not a hater. I just find it fascinating. Fascinating. On your Vlad's post, there's a guy who impersonates me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
There's so many fake TK Kirklands in every comment that it's hard to keep track of.
Okay, he's sitting down in the chair, he has the hat on. Look, it's in the profile picture. Let me prove my point what happened. Some gang members called me. Apparently this man has said something about some type of gang. And the guys called me, Vlad, and they were very serious. And I had to explain to my dude, I said, yo, I don't move like they said, yo, I didn't think you move like, but it took me a minute to convince them, right? But what I'm trying to say, I'm not always going to have a minute to convince someone. So I want people to know I'm so busy, I don't comment on YouTube channels. I don't comment under nobody's posts. I don't do none of those things. So when you see someone acting like they're TK Kirkland, please put on there impersonator. TK Kirkland doesn't do this. So that way we could try to get this person off before he really does some true damage.
Yeah, man. I mean, the internet's a weird place. I mean, there's so much impersonation. There's so much fake shit. There's so much, there's so many fake videos about me, some of which ended up becoming trending and so forth. That, you have to sort of, pick your battles in a way. You can't go after everybody.
Can't go everybody, but I would like for them to go after that situation, even though they probably don't know who it is. But people know when you see someone, basically what I'm saying is if you see anybody comment on anything saying it's TK Kirkland, it's not me. Did you read the article about the girl got raped in the metaverse?
Oh, yeah. She said she walked in and suddenly a bunch of virtual guys.
Less than 60 seconds. But when I read that, I said, what the fuck?
The first metaverse Karen has been born.
Now, do you think they'll invent? No, not invent. You think they'll come up with a law to protect you in the metaverse? Maybe one day.
I mean, listen, there is, listen, for a long time, we had a comment section and we had a moderator in that comment section, but at one point, the comment section on VladTV.com got so problematic that it started to affect our advertising. So we just said, fuck the comment section.
Right.
A lot of people are hearing this for the first time also because everyone's like, what happened in the comment section? What happened in the comment section? But like it got so toxic and it got so hard to control because you block someone, they come back with a new name. They'll say something racist, but they'll like change a letter or they'll put some dots in between it to try to hide it from the filters.
But what I loved about that, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
That was brilliant when you did that. It was brilliant because it took us back to the 90s. Shut the fuck up and keep your opinion to yourself.
Your opinion is not that important.
It's not that important.
It's not that important. Tell me about any historically important event that started out with, well, and I left a comment on the post and then ...
Right.
No, nothing ever happens from leaving a comment on the post.
No.
You're just trying to get people to argue with you because you're bored.
Right. That's it.
But at the end of the day, it was like we took out the comment section. It didn't really affect our traffic. In fact, a lot of people even hit us said they like it better because they didn't like reading some of that shit.
I totally agree.
Our advertising went up. Our views went up. Like Facebook and other platforms.
Because when you do read it, Vlad, when you do read it, you would cringe.
Yeah, some of it was cringeworthy.
Yeah, you would cringe because people, what we call, they can hide behind a computer or phone and say the worst things knowing there's no consequences.
Exactly. No, I've always said this. I feel that every person on the internet, on every platform, should be tied to a driver's license or a social security number. So anything they say could ultimately be tracked back to them, and they have to have the ramifications of what they say. Whatever you and I say publicly, we have actual ramifications.
That's so true.
I can't go on this big racist rant and think that I'm just going to live my life normally after that.
You're right.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Before you say good night, you'll be in court.
I'll be in court. I'll be in jail. I'll be canceled, whatever else. So why is it that someone who has a picture of a cat could go on Twitter and say, I hope Vlad and his whole family gets killed?
I totally agree.
Which is the type of things that have been said about me.
Right.
And they're adding me so I could see it.
Right.
I mean? That type of fuck shit.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, once you realize that, hey, if I say this, I could potentially go to jail.
That's right.
Or this person could actually find out where I work and expose to my coworkers that I'm a piece of shit.
Right.
Like I remember Gary Owen when he went on my show, like someone left him this really nasty, racist DM, and he actually exposed who the person is and where they worked, and they ended up getting fired.
So I just reposted his message, and his name was up there. So what happened was, people just like people that call you culture vulture and get mad, you got the other end. You got the people that just want people to do right, and man. Black people came at him, called his job, went to his Facebook page where he had everything listed. He had the phone number to his job.
What kind of job did he have?
I was, I'm not sure. I can't remember. It was it a used car salesman or it was construction?
Construction, okay.
Some kind of construction job where he went around, I think it was roofing, if I'm not mistaken. And, but he had all his employee information on there, like the boss and everything. And people was calling up to his job, and I will say they fired him because of it. And I heard he said to the news people he moved because he was getting racial threats.
Like that type of shit should be the norm, not the exception.
I agree. I agree.
Well, Katt Williams recently spoke about Eddie Murphy.
I saw
you
that.
Heard about this? He said, don't tell me Eddie Murphy is your favorite comedian because Eddie Murphy hasn't done comedy since the 80s. It just doesn't make sense. It's about how much body of work you put out there. So nobody knows who's beefing with Mozart because the guy beefing with Mozart didn't put out any material. That's why history takes care of all that.
You want my opinion on it?
Your opinion. Let's hear it.
So here's what you're gonna laugh at me, but Katt Williams is right. But watch where I'm going. Katt Williams is right, but there's a thing called respect. See, regardless of what you might truly feel in your heart, I believe in respect. And what you have to do in a situation like this is that Eddie Murphy, you have to show respect, that you respect what he's carved out for the rest of us to make a living, regardless of what your personal feeling. You know, people hated Steve Jobs. People hate the guy from Microsoft. People hate the guy from Tesla, right? Mm-hmm. But you show the person respect. That's it. And that's the thing. You show people respect.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, those two stand-ups were a hell of a stand-up, man. Like Raw and Delirious, that was some epic shit.
Yeah, and when you see that material today, it's not raw, right? When you see the material today, but here's the thing, it doesn't matter about the material. It's gonna show you how you know Eddie Murphy is a superstar. You ready? Mm-hmm. Even when he comes on the screen, he has this persona about him, even to this day, that keeps you captivated into everything he's doing, which is called stage presence, right? And you can't make it up. You can't, it's not something it's something that you're born with. And he has that. So yes, he hasn't done stand-up in a while. Yes, Katt Williams to me is 100% correct. But there's a word called respect. There's a line you just don't cross to make yourself feel like what you're saying is right. I just really feel that. And what I always just say, people are entitled to their opinions.
Yeah. And, I remember when I interviewed Katt a while ago. He said that he feels that Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock are actually funnier than him. Would you say
Katt Williams said they're funnier than him?
But now Dave Chappelle has always been funnier than me. And Chris Rock has always been funnier than me. I've always been aware of who was funnier than me. I've just also been aware of who wasn't.
Okay, that's his opinion. I think they're all funny.
Yeah.
See what it is with the comedians. See, when I came up, it wasn't really that many comedians, right? But over the years, everybody's gotten into it. And there's really something for everybody. That's what comedy is about. It's really something for everybody out there. And you got comedians making money who didn't put in the work, but it's just like the NBA. When Magic Johnson, Larry Bird played, you couldn't say they wasn't the most phenomenal ball players ever. But guys on the bench today are making 5-10 times more than those guys ever made in their career. So comics today are making more money as a whole than we was 20 years ago. So if you've been in the comedy business now 5-7 years and you had a good following, you are balling. Whereas some people still it might take them a lifetime to get it. But like you said a long time ago, most people don't become millionaires until they're in their 60s. So we got to find if people can test the time to want to put the work in. Because the dating world shows you that if you ain't rich by 22, you're a failure. But that's not the way this works.
Right. Right.
It's not the way it works.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of comedy, T.I. recently did stand-up.
Yes. And I thought that was my point exactly, right? T.I., because he's a phenomenal rapper, will sell out every comedy club in America because he's T.I., right? And make $70,000, $80,000 on the weekend just because he's T.I.
Yeah.
Life's not fair. But if he stays with it, guess what? He can probably become really decent in about 7, 8, 9 years. Because all it takes is practice. He got a great stage presence about him. He's been around comedy for a minute. I know him very well. So he could probably pull it off. But right now, he could go out and make $1 million, $2 million this year. and not even be good.
I agree. I agree.
His fan base from the rap world will come see him do stand-up.
I feel you, man. I feel more power to him. I think it's dope. I think it's dope that he's doing it.
Yeah, shout out to T.I. Doing your thing, bro.
Like I've always said, like if I didn't have to run VladTV, I'd probably take a stab at it at some point. You know?
Yeah,
I'm just
why
too
not?
busy.
It's
Why
good therapy. It's good therapy. It's a good feeling. And believe it or not, I think stand-up has helped me to look as young as I am. Because I treat stand-up like an athlete. I work out and I mentally prepare and to stay in shape. So when I'm on that stage, I'm at battle. So I have to be ready mentally on stage, mentally for a fan, and mentally, if I got to put them up one day. So I believe in that you got to stay in shape. But I also like the women, even if they with their boyfriends or whatever, they hit me later talk about how attractive they think I am for being an AARP member. I love all that.
Young Buck just recently got arrested again.
Saw that. Damn.
I mean, look, I interviewed Young Buck about a year and a half ago. Hey man, cool dude. I wanted to bring him back. We even offered him some money to come back, but he doesn't want to do interviews right now.
Okay.
For whatever reason, which I don't get because
he needs the paper.
I mean, he seemed like he needed the paper.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he literally was arrested for vandalizing his ex-girlfriend's home and her car.
Right.
Fled the scene, released on $1,000 bail. His mugshot is everywhere yet again. Listen, I think a lot of this, like you hear about the transgender rumors, and 50 always kind of fucks with him in that regard. And listen, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's false. If it is true, I think he'd be better off just coming out and saying it.
I agree.
Because I don't know of anyone that has come out being gay or bisexual in the last few years that weren't like celebrated for their their braveness and stuff like that.
I agree.
So I don't know, but trying to always avoid a topic and so forth, and having dudes like fuck with you at the grocery store and that type of bullshit.
And he's with some nice looking women.
Right.
It ain't like he with no ugly ducklings. He was some nice looking women.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, Young Buck still has a lot of fans. I don't think he really appreciates how much people really love this guy. Still.
I agree. And sometimes sometimes the universe has to take it away from you for you to really appreciate it. But sometimes it might be a little too late. To all of us, your platform, my platform, we have to truly be thankful on the lives that we have. It's just truly amazing. But I would say the most fascinating story of the month is Tisha Campbell.
Yes, the whole kidnapping thing. So she went on and said that she was almost kidnapped and so forth. And then the police came back and said, none of this ever happened.
Never happened. But before they did that, let me tell you what I told my friends.
Okay.
I said, one, you could tell she's lying, but here's the thing. Bitch, you've been on TV your whole life. When they rolled up on you, you didn't think about taking your phone out and videotaping this shit? Like, about setting up and programming. And when something like that happens to you, you're not going to have makeup on and have yourself looking good. Like, you're going to be looking hysterical. You're going to be looking crazy. You ain't going to have no hat on. And you're not going to be talking about it. So, Tisha, if you hear about this, I'll be at the Chinese Man Theater. You mad at me? We could talk about it. But I just keep it real the way I see it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But when I saw that, like you said, the cop said no evidence shows.
No evidence.
Because they looked into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, are people saying it's like a Jussie Smollett kind of thing?
That's just gonna be took the words out of my mouth. Now what's going on with him?
Well, he was found guilty.
Yes.
And he's waiting to be sentenced, which I believe is in March.
Okay, that's what's going on. Okay.
Yeah, he's going to be sentenced. And it's the funny part is that when you read through like what some of the police officers who were involved in the case were saying is that had he just admitted that he lied, they probably would have just dropped the charges and kept it moving.
Okay.
But the fact that he kept saying, no, it really happened, to the point of even going to court and lying to the judge, lying to the jury, if all this really happened, where's the proof that any of it actually happened?
Right. But even bringing Don Johnson in. He lied on Don Johnson. You know that, right? He said Don Johnson.
Oh, Don Lemon.
Don Lemon. Thank you. Damn. Don Lemon. Don Lemon. He lied and said he had sex with the guy in the bathroom.
Well, no, I guess he said that Don Lemon was warning him about what was about to happen.
Right.
Don Lemon was like, I don't know this motherfucker.
Yeah, and then he said that he had an encounter with the guy. The guy that
he was allegedly having sex with one of the Nigerian brothers.
Wow. He tried to bring everybody down. But here's what was crazy though, Vlad. When I read the article, the police had a video of Jesse doing a walkthrough the day before.
Yeah.
Yo, what attorney will go to trial knowing they got a tape? I would have said, we're not going to trial.
You got to find another lawyer.
There's no way I'm going to the trial and you did a walkthrough. They got the tape.
Well, listen.
Wow.
When the police, for me, the line that got drawn was that when the police showed up and he still had the rope around his neck.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
No, there's actual body cam footage of the police showing up to his apartment. And as they show up, he has that noose still around his neck. Like it's somehow stuck to his skin or something. He couldn't
You can't make this up, man. It's the craziest shit in the world.
Listen. I am a very bad criminal. All the criminal activities that I've tried over the years, I've always failed at. I feel like being a criminal is the hardest job in the world.
Yeah.
Like it's so, especially in 2022 when you have cameras everywhere, where cell phones, they can triangulate your position.
Yeah.
But that's all they did. They were like, oh, okay, this happened. Let's see where the brothers were. Oh, we find the store that they're buying the MAGA hat and the fucking rope at. Oh, here's where you really were. Here's where everyone was. Oh, here's all the footage from all this shit. Like, it is so hard. Listen, back in the 80s, you could shoot someone if no one saw it, you walk away and you're done.
So true.
Right? Like, 40 years later, it doesn't work that way. It's very difficult to be a criminal. It's so hard.
And it shows
especially.
And it goes to show you that it's not good because the jails are overcrowded.
They're overcrowded. And look, listen, I mean, Jesse was not the biggest star in the world, but he was, he was getting there.
He's making a living. And one thing helps the next thing.
Yeah.
Nobody will touch him now.
He was on a hot show. He was on a hot show.
Yes.
He had a deal with Columbia Records.
And he could have milked it.
Like, he could have kept going. No one's fucking with this dude anymore.
Nobody.
Nobody's fucking with this dude anymore. And the thing is that when you just sit there and just keep going with the lie, now you like, all right, now you're treating me like I'm stupid. Like, okay,
yes.
like, oh, the election got stolen. Yeah, okay, all right.
Vlad, they had that's like us coming in here rehearsing for a show tomorrow that we're going to tape, and we got it on tape. They see this, and you still go to. I really think they should give him the max when he goes in March. Like, I'm not one to want to see anybody locked up, but if you went to trial and they had a tape of you, you're a fool.
Yeah.
You're a fool, period.
There you go. There you go. That's why even though this is not really, people don't usually go to jail for this type of thing. It's really up to the judge. If the judge wants to make an example out of him. Because they also spent like a couple $1 million in resources investigating this shit in Chicago.
They did it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's going to get some time.
Yeah.
He'll probably get 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because it's not a felony, right?
No, it was a felony. No, he got convicted of
felony.
felony.
It was a felony. Oh, he might get a little more time, yeah.
Yeah. No, he got multiple felonies, actually.
Okay.
And now on top of that, let's not talk about, no one's talking about this, he is now a convicted felon, right? Which means he can't own a gun probably in certain states.
So true, you can't.
He can't, renting an apartment, is now going to be more difficult.
Right.
Because Are you a felon? Yes. No, thank you. A person cannot turn you down for an apartment based on race or religion, legally, even though people obviously do it.
Right.
But they can legally turn you down based on your criminal record.
Right. That's so true.
That is 100%. They could say, we're sorry, sir, we don't rent to felons.
Right.
And that's the end of the conversation.
We don't want you in this area.
We don't want you in this area. And there's not a damn thing you could do about it.
Nothing. Ask Canada. Canada don't let you in there if you got a felon.
The whole country.
They do not play.
Yeah, I mean, I just yesterday I interviewed Baby Blue from Pretty Ricky.
Okay.
Who in 4 days is turning himself in for a 20-month bid.
Right.
Over a, I believe, $4 million PPP scam that he was involved in. And, we went into his whole story with the shit. I mean, his point of view was that he didn't actually do these loans himself. He was working with this other company, and the other company basically gave him like $500,000 and then filled out a bunch of forms on his behalf, and then he gets caught up in that.
He called me in the middle of the night, 12 o'clock in the morning. I'm asleep. I answered the call for him. He said, "You still need the funding?" I said, "Yeah." He say, all right, send me your LLC and send me your name. That's it. Nigga ain't say nothing else to me. Ain't ask me no other questions. Ain't say, send me no document, nothing. Nigga asked me for those two things. Hung up the phone, went to sleep. I woke up, 420-something thousand, 426, whatever it was.
The feds don't care.
Feds don't care. There were like 90 people that were indicted in this shit. And the dudes who wrote, the actual guys that were like responsible for writing all these applications, they cooperated and told on everybody.
Yeah, that's how it goes down. All you gotta do, I tell people all the time, this is a myth to being a gangster. All you gotta do is watch those documentaries of the 20s and the 30s. They all snitched on each other.
Mm-hmm.
They all snitched on each other. So, when people say, "Oh, I'm not a snitch" or whatever, I think everybody got a number. I always tell people, if you got a co-defendant and they come in your room first to ask you about a deal, you better take it, because the other dude gonna take it.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got. Yeah, I mean, listen. There's a few people that will just sit there and do life in prison and somehow take it and work it out in their head. This is the best thing to do. But at the end of the day, you should assume that once you get into this world of crime, that other people are going to tell on you.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever, unless you do things completely by yourself,
yes,
and don't have anyone else involved in anything else that you do, that is very difficult to do these days.
I agree.
Whoever is working with you are going to get offered a deal to say, "Hey, cooperate and we'll lower your time or make your time go away."
So true.
And that's going to happen every single time.
Every time.
That's gonna, you're not going to tell a person, "We had a handshake to do these 20 years." Yeah, don't worry about your kids growing up, and don't worry about, this vacation you're going to take, and don't worry about the fact that you like women, but you're going to be in a place with just men for the next couple decades.
Locked up. I love women too much to be locked up, Vlad.
Yeah. I can't do it.
No.
I can't do it. I did 2 days here, a day here, and it always sucked. I've never done anything beyond that. And I'm always like, I interviewed Tanisa Welch, who was the first lady of BMF, Black Mafia family.
Yes, I know her very well.
Oh, you know her?
Yeah, I know her very well. Yes, my girl.
Oh, okay.
I know everybody, Vlad.
Okay, before I go on, what kind of interaction did you guys have to know her like that?
They came to me years ago to perform. I did one of their big birthday parties out in Beverly Hills. And when I say BMF do it right, when I say they parties is off the chain, like everybody in there, it was so much diamonds in there, it had to be over 20 million just worth of diamonds. I talk about the cars in the parking lot. And we have been friends ever since. I'm the guy they always call to do their comedy. When they do the comedy shows, I'm the guy that they hire to come do their stuff.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's interesting because we went into this whole story where Southwest T, right, Terry, he got pulled over and they found like $3 million worth of jewelry on him, right? And he, instead of saying, hey, okay, they got me, this is drug money, I need to just keep it moving and separate myself from the situation.
Right.
They came up with the idea to try to get the jewelry back from the feds. So by doing that, they implicated a bunch of other people in the process, right?
Okay.
So what happened was all the jewelry was bought from Jacob the jeweler.
Right.
Right? And when you spend a certain amount of money anywhere, especially in a jewelry company, they have to fill out a special kind of form. Like if it's like $20,000 or $25,000, they have to fill out a form and send that to the government to say, hey, this person came in, spent all this money, here's what they bought. The government needs to know about it.
Right.
Jacob was selling jewelry to all these guys and not filling out these forms, right? And I'm going to come back to this. You're going to see how this all fits together. So when they went to go get the jewelry back, they said they had an associate that was trying to just roll around with BMF and be down. His name is Damon Thomas.
Okay.
Who at the time was married to Kim Kardashian.
Wow.
Music producer, right? He basically said, oh, that's jewelry, all that jewelry is mine. So when the feds started to investigate in this whole situation, they realized, number one, the jewelry wasn't his. Number two, Jacob had been selling all this jewelry without registering it. So now both these guys are now part of the BMF case. Jacob ends up going to prison for a few years over this shit. And what she said was interesting is that she said that she knew Damon Thomas very well. And she would always tell him, stick to music. You're not built for this. This is not the life that you're supposed to live. What we do is different than what you do. You do pretty well in the music thing.
And me and Damon were friends before all of this. And I was telling Damon, Damon used to come by the house and we used to hang out. Like, Damon, this is not the life for you. Don't do it. Because like you say, it's just like you talk to people, you get a feel for people. This is not your lifestyle. You might not want to get involved in this. It's because if something happened, you can't take this heat. And, so that's, I don't even blame Damon because he shouldn't even have been around. He should have stuck to what he did, music.
And I kind of like, when she said that, I said, yeah, because BMF flew me out around 2004 and partied with him. And I was at Big Meech's house when he had the ankle bracelet on and Blue Da Vinci was taking me around. And I remember that first day I looked around and said, I don't want to be part of this. I know what this is. I know exactly, like it's clear to me, totally outside of the drug world, totally as a middle-class kid from the suburbs, it's clear where this money's coming from. Right. And I don't want to be anywhere near it. I'm not built for this shit. Yeah. I don't want the feds to start to pressure me to somehow cooperate or whatever. Like, nah.
Because they were shining. They were shining too much that it was obvious it was going to go down.
They were shining too much.
They were shining too much.
Shining too much. And it was like they had billboards. Right. And they would pull up in $2 million worth of cars. Right. And they would, and it's like, no one's stupid here. Like everyone knows what's happening here. Right. No one's selling any records. You guys have no stars on your label.
Right. That's so true.
Blue Da Vinci never sold any albums.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Young Jeezy had already moved away from them. Right. Because he knew what was coming. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, everyone ended up going to prison. It was like 30. She was one of the 30 that got arrested initially.
Yeah, she sure was. Yeah, nice young lady though. Nice young lady. God bless her. But, again, we live long enough to see them get back on the streets.
Yeah. Southwest T is back. She's back. Big Meech will hopefully get out at some point. Mm-hmm. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. When Meech is out, it's going to be crazy.
Right.
I was listening to one of your stand-ups this morning as I was driving over here, and you said, I guess you're doing the show in Miami.
Okay.
And you said Miami, when you go outside Miami, it smells like Domestic violence and Plan B.
Oh man. Yeah, I love doing stand-up is one of the greatest things that ever happened to me, Vlad. It's if anybody want to get into this thing, you should do it because it makes you feel good. It takes you to a whole nother good mental peace, and you can literally make people laugh and change the world in your own perspective. And to hear people quote my jokes and go back years up to now and say, yo, TK. But I wanted to be the comedian. That's why I always tell the fans who are listening, make sure you come out to the show. See me before I get old. And you see what the rest of the world who got, I know there's the Dave Chappelles. I know there's the Kevin Harts, but I want you to see me so that when you talk about comics, my name is right up there with because all those comics know about TK Kirkland.
Well, let me ask you a question, because I've seen 2 of your shows live so far. And in both shows, there's some similarities in the routines, right? There's certain parts that you use, you know, in the 2 times that I've seen. I don't know whether this is consistent or not.
Okay.
Do you ever hit the stage and try a brand new routine like that you've never used before, or do you always kind of fall back to certain things that you know will work?
Here's what's happened. On the day that you saw me, because it's a short period of time. See, a strategy was like being a quarterback of a football team, right? You got to go down the field to get the touchdown because it's 2 minutes left. So when you're on a 12-minute, 13-minute time span, because other comics on the show, you got to go with things that hit. So I walk in the room, I am viewing the people in my head. Who's in here? Who's seen me before? Who hasn't seen me before? I got to hit you with a little something old and hit you with a little something new to get everybody captivated. If I'm there 12 minutes, by 8 minutes, I got everybody. Then the last 3 minutes, I'm just going to go to a whole nother level. Now, let's say you see a person sees me on a whole weekend and I'm doing 2 hours a show. Well, believe it or not, those shows are totally a different act. But if you see me in 12, 15 minutes, it's possible you might see something because you got to go with the stuff that's going to bang, 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 bang. Thank you, good night, I'm out. But when you have a nice long show, you can talk about all the things. That's why normally I don't have nobody open up for me. When I do my shows, I just have an MC, TK, he does 5-10 minutes. TK Kirkland, I go and do an hour and 30 minutes because I hate it at the Laugh Factory doing 12 to 15 minutes because people came from all over to see me perform, right? And they don't want to see me just for 15 minutes. Like, other comedians was good, but we wanted to see TK do his thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, you see this interview before February 9th and 10th, check me out at the world famous Chinese Man Theater. Me, Mike Epps, Dominique, and I'm not going to be on stage for 15 minutes. We're doing 4 shows, and I'm doing 45 to an hour on each show. And I'm excited because then I can navigate my way through the show at a certain pace.
Well, I was watching another part of your stand-up, listening to it on Spotify.
Yes.
And you said that when you and a lady you're dating break up, you want all your stuff back that you gave her. Right. And the way you compared it to, I thought was so brilliant. You said, when you're playing for a football team and you go to a different team, you got to leave the uniform.
Exactly.
You can't take your uniform with you. You got to leave the uniform with the whole team.
Right. Makes sense, don't it?
Makes perfect sense.
It makes sense. Yeah, well, I'm not going to get you ready for the other team. You get the uniform back.
Yeah, man. Speaking of comedians, Louie Anderson just passed at 68.
Oh, yeah.
Were you ever around him at all? Did
I
you guys
met
know
him
each
a few
other?
times. I didn't really know him, but anybody in the comedy world, you want to show them love and much respect. And I'm glad you brought up Louie because I've been on the show so much. I want to show this person mad love, and he doesn't know it. I hope he hears it. Faison Love.
Ah, my man.
Let me tell you, when you get a chance, ask Faison Love about TK Kirkland. Faison Love saved somebody else's life because I was getting ready to hurt somebody. And Faison had wrote a letter to my judge as a character letter. And I had some issues down in Atlanta at a comedy club where I had sex with this girl, fell asleep, and missed my first show, Vlad, that night. But the guys was trying to run the comedy show like gangsters, right? They wasn't running professional. It was running like it was some nigga shit, just to put it out there like that. So these guys kind of like jumped me in the dressing room, but they didn't know how I was built. So I had two things on my mind. I'm on probation in California. I'm fighting a case in New York City, but now I'm getting ready to get another charge because I'm about to hurt everybody. So Faison pulls into the parking lot, sees what I'm about to do, snatched me up, put me in the car, and drove me away. And I wanted to thank him so much for that, because that when I look at my life now and see how well I'm doing and how blessed I am with no nonsense for over 20-something years, I'm so thankful. So I wanted to show Faison love. Yo, my man, I really appreciate you, because me and him go way back when he was a little boy starting stand-up. And you can ask him, right, when he stopped doing stand-up, because once he got on TV, he got lazy. And we talked one day, and I explained to him how he left too much money on the table not to be doing stand-up. And next thing you know, boom, he was doing stand-up comedy again. So I'm taking credit for getting Faison Love back into stand-up comedy. And I guarantee you, he'll say, yes, it happened.
Yeah, man. And Faison's got the best Ice Cube impression that I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's my man.
He absolutely kills the Ice Cube impression. Yeah, man. And so many classic, not only just ridiculously funny, but so many classic movies. I don't know if you saw, but I actually had him do an interview as Big Worm.
Yeah. I saw it. Mm-hmm, I did. I just love that guy, yo. He's that's my man. We go way. I say we go way back. San Diego. His mother, when he used to drive I see him come from a van to driving in one of the flyest BMWs in the world years ago, and being on the phone with him when he was on the TV show with Robert Townsend. And Faison was making so much money that when he would go into the stores, he would say to the guys, just send that to the house. Make sure you tell him that was his line. Because I used to be on the phone with him and have him cracking up to this day. I hear him, I got him on the phone. He's talking to the salespeople. And he's like, yeah, Steve, just send that to the house. Yeah, Karen, yeah, just send that to the house. That's when he lived up in Sherman Oaks. He was living like a god. Shout out to my man, Faison Love.
There we go. Bob Saget passed away. Another comedian.
Man. Damn.
Did you meet him at all?
No, I didn't know him, but comedy, we're in the comedy world. You gotta,
Yeah.
For him to come from a show, lay down on the bed, lay on his back, and not wake up. Like, there's so many lessons in there, right? There's so many lessons that you can't take tomorrow for granted. You just never know. You got to monitor your health. You got to tell your children and the people that you love when you walk out that you love them. And getting back home in this world today is such an understatement that people really don't take it seriously. But when you travel this world and you make it back to your house, I don't care if you're going to work 8 hours. If you make it back home, you should truly be thankful that you made it back.
Yeah, and as you get older, make sure you get not only checkups, but go to specialists as well. Because I remember about a year ago, when I got my checkup, they said I had a high, my cholesterol levels were high and so forth. My doctor said, oh, don't worry about it. Just eat less meat and, exercise a little bit and so forth. But then, my man was like, you should go see a cardiologist. So I went to go see a cardiologist, and he was like, yo, like the levels of cholesterol in your blood are so high that number one, you're at risk for a heart attack. Number two, you're at risk for cancer.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because when your bloodstream is really not the way it's supposed to be, you're opening yourself up to a bunch of diseases. And, you know, he put me on something called Crestor.
Okay.
And, you know, which drastically dropped my cholesterol. And I remember I was talking to the doctor, and he was like, every cardiologist over the age of 30 that my cardiologist knows, and he's like 70 or something.
Okay.
He said they all take it, including himself. He said that this is really what damn near every middle-aged man should be on. But most people are not on this, and you have a heart attack, and a lot of times it's a wrap.
Right. And what's the product again?
Crestor, Crestor. And,
okay.
And there's a bunch of
you can buy them in the store?
No, you can't. You have to have it prescribed by a doctor.
Wow.
But,
okay.
You have to go to a cardiologist, and and they were testing me for months and seeing everything go down and so forth. I did change my diet and so forth. But the thing is like, yo, one heart attack and it could be a wrap. Like I just interviewed Steve Rifkin. Steve Rifkin, who launched Loud. He had a really bad heart attack a few years ago, and he like died like in the hospital. They had to resuscitate him and so forth. And I'm thinking like, oh, okay, well, at least now you're good. He's like, nah, man, like every morning I got to take like 20 different pills, like because of that shit.
Wow.
It's one of those things where you want to prevent the heart attack before it happens.
I get tested, but I don't never get tested for that. And by you saying
go to a cardiologist.
That's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Bob Saget, I believe, died from a heart attack. And most men of our age, they usually die from heart attacks.
Okay, I promise you, I'm getting on it because I'm scheduled. I already took my eye test. I'm set for my prostate. I'm set for some other tests, but I never took the cholesterol cardiologist. I promise you, I'm doing that this week.
Yep. You have to, man.
I have to.
Important.
I'm 60 something. I can't be playing.
There you go. And Betty White recently passed away at the age of 99.
Yes.
Almost made it to 100.
2 weeks away.
2 weeks away.
2 weeks away.
2 weeks away. You ever run into her at all?
I never met her, but I was a Golden Girl fan. They was hilarious. And I didn't know the older lady who was much younger than who looked older. I didn't know she had passed away. They all were deceased. Betty White was the last one.
Yeah.
She was beautiful when she was young, though, wasn't she?
Yeah. Man, listen. Betty White was a national treasure, man. She was an icon. She was super bad when she was young.
Yes.
But she had a hell of a career, and she kept at it through 99.
Yes. And the pandemic would never happen because she used to walk a mile or run a mile every day. And I think if that pandemic thing would have happened, she would have been able to make it because she'd have still been able to get out to get her activities.
Yep.
God bless Bob. God bless Betty. Man. And I want to also give a shout out to a comedian that nobody really talks about. But at one time, he was bigger than Richard Pryor and Bill Cosby. You ready?
Who's that?
Flip Wilson.
Flip Wilson. Yep, that's a good one.
The devil made me do it. And he's from my hometown, Jersey City, New Jersey. I watched him. One night I was watching TV late, and I forgot about Flip Wilson. And then I'm watching it. I saw Bill Cosby on the Flip Wilson show. I saw Richard Pryor as guest. It was a time that Flip Wilson was bigger than all of them. And I said to myself, I'm going to start bringing his name back into the spotlight because he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. Flip Wilson.
Yeah. Flip Wilson is an icon. Absolutely, man.
Yes.
And, just to kind of bring it back, I actually found the picture real quick.
Okay.
I found this meme. And it said,
wow. Yeah,
if the Golden Girls were in 2022, this is what they would look like.
They look like Chloe.
They look like Chloe.
From the Kardashians. They look like Chloe.
Yeah, man. It's so interesting how, back then it was okay to just look old, look older, have wrinkles, have gray hair. have wrinkled skin. It's part of who you are.
Yeah.
You don't have to, Kris Kardashian, Kris Jenner, what is she like 60 something at this point, looking like she with a face that doesn't move and so forth. I mean, I don't know if you saw, because it was going viral. Khloe had posted this picture of herself, and like her face was sort of brown, and she had these like long white hands.
Right, I saw that.
That were like completely different color. Then you saw her reflection in her like, rear view mirror, and it was like a totally different person in the reflection.
Right.
And it was just crazy. It was just like,
Vlad, we were really seeing the world the people in the world do some drastic things. So I don't know. I've been on your show so long now that I got to the point that I have to say, I don't know. I don't know. We can't save the world. We can't fix it. We just show through our eyes. We show some young man and some young woman that we care and see the world the way we see it, and we might can take you down a different path in your life.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Because Vlad, honestly, all the shows I go to, they say, I saw you on Vlad. I saw you on Vlad. And Charlamagne told me to say hello, and I tell all you guys, every time I see you guys, how 5-6 years ago, my son got me to do the Breakfast Club. You saw me on the Breakfast Club, and the rest is history. And like I told you guys are my David Letterman, my Johnny Carson, my Arsenio Hall, shows that I wish I could have got on in the 90s. But you guys are my shows, and I will always be grateful and thankful. And I want other comics who, if they do get on here, to understand the blessing that what this can do for you if you're talking the right information, if you have something that that people want to hear. Because you got to have something people want to hear. And if you're ignorant, you're stupid, you're only going to get so much. But if you're saying what's important to hear, people will listen to you.
Yeah, and if you're actually funny on camera in a non-stand-up or movie situation, because I'm not going to name any names because I appreciate everyone who comes to the show, but there's been a number of comedians that are hilarious when you see them, but when they get in front of a VladTV camera, they're just not that entertaining. They're not that funny.
Right.
Not that they have to be. Listen, at the end of the day, you can do whatever interview you want.
Right.
But if you're a comedian, then you should probably be funny on camera.
Or have a personality. Like I'm a different kind of stand-up comedian. Like, I'm not goofy. I'm not nothing like that, but you know that I'm funny in how I do my thing, right? So, believe it or not, I don't even like being around real comedians because they get on my damn nerves. Like, not saying no names, when I'm with comics, I have to tell them to shut the fuck up. Like, you don't want to hear that shit all damn day. So, yeah, I thank you, Vlad. I always say thank you. Like, I don't know if anybody else say thank you. I say thank you because I know.
Man, listen, it's my pleasure. It's a one hand washes the other kind of situation where, I love having you come on. A lot of people watch it. A lot of views come from it.
Yeah.
We pay all of our regular guests like yourself who come.
Right.
We're not going to talk about numbers or whatever, but every regular guest, every person you see on the show over and over again, they all get paid.
That's right.
Every last one of them.
Right.
And on top of that, like you said, it increases their visibility, and it usually ends up with more show bookings and everything else.
But I love being connected to Vlad. Like, you understand? I'm like a co-star of Vlad. Like, I'm part of the life. I'm part of the family. So when I travel, when people say Vlad, it's like being that guy, Ed McMahon, right? Sitting next to Johnny Carson. TK Kirkland, I'm associated with VladTV, and I love that. I love it.
That's how we're going to end it. TK Kirkland, man, always a pleasure. Until next time, You know, I can't wait for that show in LA. You know, I'll be there once again.
And let me give it, and I got to show the love. Also, ladies and gentlemen, follow me on Instagram, TK_Kirkland. Believe it or not, for the first time, I want to get my numbers up on Instagram. Normally, I don't care, but for some reason now I want to start moving that. Check me out this week on the 9th and 10th. Glad to be out there with us at the Chinese Man Theater. Check me out at the Improv for the All-Star Break in Cleveland, Ohio. The 16th at Tommy T's in in Oakland, California. And the 26th, I'm in Akron, Ohio. But follow me on Instagram, TK_Kirkland. You can see all the dates and the shows that I'm doing. And thanks to this man who you hear his voice for helping put young and old comedians like myself into another level of their business. And we can never take that away from them. I salute you.
There we go. Until
Talk
next
to you
time.
soon.
Peace.
All right.